And we're live. Hey, so happy to be here today with a special webinar and with a special guest. I'm Liraz Postan, an SEO specialist, an international SEO specialist, and I'm happy to be hosting today Shai Toder. Our webinar today is all about core web vitals, do's and don't, what you should do in order to be prepared. We're so happy that Google postponed the update from May to mid-June, and it will be fully rolled out to August. So we're so happy to have you all today. Write us in the chat. We also got several sites in the submission form from the website, from SEMrush submission form. So we will also share with you guys the results that we slash those websites out, and we make sure the core web vitals can be really well fixed. And also, wanted to share that during the webinar, you feel free to ask any question, because I'll soon present him, Shai here. His web speed specialist. This is all he does on his day-to-day. So feel free to ask any specific question you have on a specific website, or even a dilemma, or I don't know, even a general question you have on how to solve core web vitals issues. And here we go. There's Shai Toder. Hey, how are you, Shai?
Hi. I'm fine. Very excited.
Yeah, it's our first webinar. That is super exciting.
Not used to it.
It's fine. You'll get used to it. So, Shai, tell us a little bit about, before we get started, like how many years have you been fixing those websites?
I think about 3 years I started to do it. I began. In the past, I was a SQL DBA, and the thing that I loved the most was to improve performance. And then I shifted to the online business and got to this place.
Yeah. So basically, Shai is like a real specialist, and I brought him here just to talk about everything that we can do in order to improve our website, with like even tiny changes that we can do that we're not aware of, just loading tons of fonts when we only need one, or lazy load, or handling our images, or anything that they can be like quick wins for you guys, and not, it's not supposed to be like super duper tough job for everyone. Of course, sometimes you will need a developer to fix those things, but this is a super practical webinar, so stay tuned, because we've got super practical tips for you guys. So Shai, I think let's start talking about core web vitals, or web vitals, and you can take it away from here and start the presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. I will start by just a few minutes about myself. I'm a page speed optimization expert. Won 2 times first place and third place in WordPress performance contest. I have a blog with my name, shaitoder.com, and I have an online course with over 300 people, and we're around from 35 different countries, which is really exciting for me. And let's talk about the web vitals. Now, web vitals are page experience signals. They are not just the core web vitals. I will talk about it in a second. But in the web vitals, we have a lot of metrics and signals that Google wants to check. So they will know if the site is good for the users, is it user friendly, if it's safe. So there are a lot of signals to do. Among them are the core web vitals, as we can see, the loading, the interactivity, and visual stability, and we will talk about it in a second. So core web vitals are a subset of web vitals. There are several metrics that Google uses to measure quality of a website to ensure visitors get a great user experience. It's not just speed. Okay, so the third one is really not about speed, and let's talk about everything there. They are checking the loading time by checking the largest Contentful paint, which is the largest object on the above the fold. It most of the time it is an image, a background image, or a regular image, but it can be even text. Okay, so it's not just images. The second thing is the interactivity. It's checking the first input delay, the FID, or the total blocking time. It depends, because the first one is real-time metric, and the other one is a lab test, which is so in GT metrics or in PageSpeed Insight or in other places, we will see the TBT, and but in the Search Console we will see the FID, for example. And the third one is the visual stability by checking the CLS, the Cumulative Layout Shift, and we will talk about it in a second. So the LCP, the loading. This is the numbers when we are in the green area or in the red. I mentioned it in the screen. It's the rendering time of the largest element visible within the viewport. As I said, it can be a text or an image. Later on, we will see a few examples on how can what can I do. So I will take a real page, and just by changing something very, very small, the LCP can be improved. The FID is the time from when a user first interact with the page, when they click a link, tap on a button, to the time when the browser is actually able to respond to that interaction. And this is mostly involve JavaScript. Okay, so the main issue of FID and TBT is the JavaScript that we are loading, and many sites, they load a lot of JavaScript. Even if we are using an Elementor or Divi or whatever, then it's even bigger than just a plain site. The CLS is how many times the components on the page move or shift around while the page is loading. We are not talking about things that the user want. For example, if the user click on the menu button and then the menu appears, that's okay, because the shift happens after very quickly after something that the user did. But if we will look on examples very soon, we will see that if the user want to click there and then everything is moving, so this is really Google doesn't want.
Yeah, it's like an annoying experience that when you entering a website, you want to click on a button, and then you overall you're seeing that the button's shifted like in some place. Yeah, it's like an annoying experience.
Exactly. Okay, so a few ways to check Core Web Vitals are Google PageSpeed Insight, GT Metrics, Web Page Test, Search Console, and even SEMrush Core Web Vitals report that they have to represent everything there. Now let's talk about a few examples. Just a second. I will mention before I continue to the real examples that last month there was a study by Search Metrics that only 4% of the website achieved a good score in all Core Web Vitals. Okay, so if you are not in the green area, most of the world is like you. So you should improve it, but I think this is the reason why Google said that they postponed it to next month, and even then they said that only on the end of August will be the full strength of this update. Okay, so this is about that. Now let's see, for example, a page which and they have an image. It's a normal image. It's not a background image. In a few seconds, I will show a background image. And this is a before page. And I will show, for example, the GT metrics results. And we can see the LCP here. And by just the reason that it takes a lot of time, if we can see, I'm a little bit technical here, but we can see here that it's lazy loading. Now, a few small things about lazy load. Lazy load is a very good thing to do to improve performance. It's so we will not load the images that are on the bottom of the page. But the problem is that sometimes when we use lazy load, it lazy load also the images above the fold, and this is a mistake. And here, for example, this image is lazy loaded. So the result is that the page is loading. A JavaScript of lazy loading is parsed and download and execute. Download and then parse and then execute, and then only then to realize that this image is above the fold and we need to show it, and only then the image is loaded. So we are wasting time just because this image is lazy loaded. So if we just exclude it from the lazy load, we can just give a lot of we can improve the results of just this metrics, but by just doing exclude of the main image, that it will not be lazy loaded. This is really something that many sites failed to do. So I suggest, if you have a site, check if your main image LCP is lazy loaded or not, because it might be.
I think it happens because some of the major plugins, or let's talk about WordPress, but some of the major plugins that we're using on WordPress is just like have a general setup for enable lazy loading on images. That's it, like on the entire website. So yeah, how do you differentiate that from the main setting?
Most of the lazy load plugins have settings that exclude this image or exclude this class from lazy loading. So if you are using, for example, WP Rocket, then on the media tab, there is exclude images from the lazy load. That's it. It's very simple. Okay. But I will mention that it's very easy if you have a site with 5-10 pages. But the problem is, what do you do when you have 1,000 products in a WooCommerce site? And then what you can do, that includes that needs to involve a developer, because maybe we need some code to exclude this image from lazy loading. There are some plugins, for example, Flying Press, that is doing it by automatically. So it's really something that we will see in the future. More and more these plugins will have this functionality to exclude from lazy loading the LCP image. Okay. Let's see, for example, a background image. Now I will refresh this image, and you will see that this image is fading in. I will do it again. You see the fading in? I will show you in GTmetrix. We can see it here. You can see that this image started to load here, but only here the LCP exists. Okay? You see my mouse, right? Yeah. Yeah. So the reason that the LCP is only came here, it's because of the fading effect. Just by and you can see it takes a lot of time, and just by removing the fading, we can improve it a lot, just by removing the fading effect of the LCP image. I'm not talking about remove all the animations from your site. I totally want the site will remain with a very good appearance and nice, and it will be beautiful. But the image LCP, please don't do that on the image LCP. That's it.
There's a cost for everything that you want to do. You want to place a video above the fold, so there's a cost for everything. So
yeah, and sliders, for example. This is really something that cost us, because slider is a JavaScript, and then the images comes from a JavaScript. So it's again something that hurt us. So if we will not use a slider and we will use a hero image, it will be much better. And on top of the things, the image LCP, this is something that another tip that you can do. The image LCP, preload it. There is something, Google it, but there is something called preload, and you can preload the image. And by preloading the image LCP, we are gaining more speed. It will come faster, and the LCP will be better.
That's amazing.
Okay? Yeah. FID. Now, FID, as I said, it's really relevant to JavaScript. Now, in this page, I have a slider, I have a video, and some images, but there are more things. But there are other things that we don't see it here, and we can see it here. Just a second, and we can see there are a Hotjar here, the GTM, Google Tag Manager, a Facebook Pixel, Facebook Chat, a lot of things that are JavaScript related, and we don't need them right away. We don't need the chat to be just on the first second when the page is loading. So and also the Hotjar and the video. A video is a different thing, but the video, we don't need to load all the JavaScript from YouTube. What we can do is lazy loading the video. Exactly this. It will look exactly the same. Here is the after page. It will look the same. You see the video, and I can click on the video, and it will show. But what you didn't notice, that this video is not really a video. If I do a right click, you can see it. This is an image. It's not a video.
Like a preview image.
But in the video, if I do right click here, this is a real video from YouTube. But this is not. This is just an image of a video. So this is what you called a lazy load of a video, or click to load. So this is something that we can improve a lot by just lazy loading the video and not loading a lot of JavaScript from YouTube. Let's see, for example, you can see that the JavaScript of YouTube is the biggest thing that exists that loaded here, on the page. So if you can eliminate this call, it really helped your TBT or the FID, and all the rest the Messenger chat and the Hotjar and the Facebook Pixel and GTM. All these are JavaScript that we don't need right away on the initial page loading. Now, what do I do? How do I load them on the after page? I don't load them on the initial loading. What I do delay loading of the JavaScript. WP Rocket insert this functionality not long ago. There is a free plugin called Flying Scripts that can do that. The concept is to put there an expression, and it will delay loading it. Now, the user will not notice it, because once the user moves his mouse, there is a user interaction, then the delay is over, is terminated. And then, so the Hotjar, the Facebook Pixel, the GTM, the Messenger will be loaded only after the page is finishing loading. And then we can see a very big change of the FID. just by doing the delay. Okay.
Amazing.
And it can even help more things, because if you don't load JavaScript initially in a page loading, then there is more time to load the fonts and the other images and all the rest. So it will improve even other things. Okay.
Amazing.
Yeah. Okay. So, and now let's talk about the CLS. Now let's see. I will do a refresh here, and you saw for a quick second. Now I will show it here. This is the before, and you can see a red CLS. Let's see the video, and I will stop it on the right moment. You can see the page is loading. You see the content here, but then here, and then the content is shift away down. Just imagine that here is a button that the user want to click, and you want to press it, and then the content is going down, is shifting down. This is exactly what the Google doesn't want us to give the users. Okay, so this is things that we want to eliminate, and we will eliminate them by just put an image. We will put an height of this image, or a placeholder for this image, and then the content will not shift. And by doing that, we will have a 0 and green CLS.
Amazing.
Okay, so this is a few examples that I want to show. I do want to show more examples from the audience on the things. I do want to say just before we will continue, if anyone wants to register to my course, there is a discount with the code SEMrush. There is, because I have two options of the payments, there is one payment or three. So SEMrush or SEMrush-3, and they will get a discount.
That's
now,
great.
Thank you. And
what do you
now
say? We're going to read some sites like from the audience?
Yeah, I do want to say, I just want to show you, before I will go to the audience, I want to show you that not just the small sites have these issues. Let's take, for example, a very known TechCrunch site, and you need to see everything is red. Okay, it's really something that we can see that there are that everyone needs to fix these issues. Okay, and we can see in the video, for example, a very clear CLS. You see, it starts here, and then everything is moving. This is a CLS. So everything, and so they will need to fix all these issues. So let's move on to a site from the audience.
Yeah, that's great. Let's do it.
So Miami and beaches. Okay, let's see. So mobile is a very poor score, and even desktop, and we see really a very big total blocking time. It's very huge. It's too much. And the reason I say it's too much, because GTmetrix can't even check this site.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. So it's very problematic. Now the problem is there are a lot of things. Like I said, the CLS, we can see here in the small images that the content is shifted. So this is something that is a CLS that needs to be checked. We can see the base, the YouTube JavaScript, like we said before, just lazy loading the video. We can see here, this is the site, and we can see this video. This is an image, but let's see. we can see something here is loading the YouTube. Okay, not all of the. I think this one, or maybe I don't know. Anyway, something here is a video and it's not an image. And by doing that, we can see that there are a lot of JavaScript that are loaded. You can see a lot of things are loaded here. The LCP needs to be corrected by doing a preload and by make sure that this image is not lazy loaded. I do want to say another thing. Let's see. For example, you see all these videos. Okay, so let's see if, for example, something else that I want to show you.
By the way, Shai, it all starts with the hosting company, right? Like this is a classic example of how
there are slow hosting. There are slow hosting. And they are fast, but you can have a very slow site on a very fast hosting just because you don't have a caching plugin, okay? Or you have issues like that, like that. So hosting is a basis for the things, but there are a lot of things that you need to address more.
And what about CDN? Do you recommend using CDN?
It depends. It really depends, because if you are a local site, for example, if your site is for Germany and your server is in Germany, you don't need the CDN. You can take a fast server in Germany and don't use a CDN. There are advantages. There are other advantages for CDN. For example, they will take off the load from your server. So this is another option. And if you are using, for example, the Cloudflare, then Cloudflare is a free CDN or paid CDN. They will give you another layer of security. So it's not just for performance, but it really depends. I've seen a lot of sites that the CDN hurt the performance, because the CDN needs to have a POP, network points on a lot of countries. But if you are using a CDN that doesn't have a POP in your country, then it can even hurt your performance.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to show you something. For example, here you can see the Miami site. You can see that they are loading 1,440 with a pixel width on mobile. Okay, we are on mobile, and this is the image they are loading. Okay, so this is another thing that can be improved. Not loading a big image on mobile and load only on desktop. Okay, so this is, for example, in some issues. This is another site. Let's see this one. Okay, we can see again the LCP that is shifting down. You can see here. Okay, all the text here is going down because this blue appears. So this is something that needs to be addressed. Here we can see the GTmetrix. I prefer to check with GTmetrix because the waterfall is much easier to see, and there is a video that we can see. But here we can see the waterfall and a lot of things that we can, for example, there is talk.to. This is the chat plugin. This one. This is another example of a thing that hurt us, and we can just delay loading it, and it will improve the performance. This is something that we can see. Something that we can see here here is the fonts for this page, okay, for this site. You see a lot of fonts. 900 kilobytes of fonts. This is huge. This is a lot of fonts that are loading. There are a lot of icons from Font Awesome that can be disabled completely and replaced with a 5 kilobyte of something else with the same appearance. And but this is something that you should do, because there are, you see, this is the Font Awesome, and this one, and this one, and this one, everything here. On top of it all, there are a lot of fonts, and you need to understand every font weight, not every font family, and every font weight is a request from the server. Try to reduce it. You don't need maybe you don't need the medium font and the regular font and the semi-bold and the bold and you understand my meaning. So this is something that also needs to be addressed. For example, this site. Let's see this one. Okay. Again, LCP. We can see here in the small images. You see this one is shifting down. This is causing CLS. Very, very easy to see the CLS here. Okay, and on top, there are some issues. For example, this is something related to external requests that we can't solve them, but we can delay loading them, and by doing that, we will not see anything here. For example, but there are, so for example, the Hotjar here we talked about, and the Google Analytics and Clarity, everything here can be delay loading. But here, this is from the server, and this is just something that needs to be corrected on the server parameters. There are some settings in the server. I suggest just talk to your hosting support and tell them that you need to fix this issue, and that's it. And then you can improve it even more. What else we can see here? A lot of things from Drift. It's the chat, I think. So a lot of things that all the third party is, like I said before, it's something that we can delay, and it will improve a lot. That's the things that I want. Let's go to questions. Tiras?
We have lots of questions, by the way. That is great. And also feel free, guys, if you have some more, so just put it in the chat and we'll select the best ones. And also, if you have a specific request for a specific website, place it in the chat and we'll look into it. So I've gathered some questions here. We have, let's take that. My website is ranking low on mobile-friendly tests, but how do we go about that? Like, I think we could answer that if you can share your website. But in general, what are the main tips for you to check like mobile friendly? Usually we use like, responsive websites, but are there any differences that we need to have a look?
Mobile is the same issues that I do for desktop, I do for mobile. The remove reduce the number of fonts, reduce the number of icons, the resize the images so it will not be a huge image, especially for mobile. Don't load the 1920 with the pixel width on mobile. So this is the things to do on mobile. The problem with mobile that everything on mobile is times 10 or whatever. So every little thing needs to be done on mobile. But the concept is really the same like on desktop. It's not something
different.
different.
Because I see the most of the struggle that people are getting with the page ranking, page speed insights is that overall, like most of the websites are getting really nice ranking, 80 and above.
Yeah.
Ranking. On
desktop, it's easy to.
It's a struggle.
Yeah, to get green scores on desktop, it's easy, but on mobile, you need to do it. You need to work on it, and there are a lot of things. To do. I really, from my experience, almost every site I improve, and most of my course members get to 90 plus in on mobile with Elementor. Okay, it's not the fault of the site of the page builder.
Yeah, I think like even Elementor do the all those website builders basically have done such major improvements with their platforms as well, just to be prepared also for the core web vitals, because we all know just like it's something that people we wanted to get optimized for. So I think even Elementor has improved with the DOM size. You can check, use the DOM size, all of that.
I agree. They are all improved. Oxygen is much better out of the box than Elementor, but even Elementor are doing a lot of improvement lately. They are not perfect yet, but out of the box, Gutenberg is much easier to improve. Oxygen is much easier to improve. Elementor out of the box is not so good, but with the proper optimization, not an issue. 90 plus green mobile is the aim. We aim for it. We can't do that for every site, because if the site owner, the client, really wants the animations to be on the top and he's using Rev slider, sorry, there is a limit.
There is a cost for everything, and we got to know our job is just to raise the red flags, and if a client wants specific something, so they've got it. Let's go for another question. You've mentioned image preloading. Should we generally do this for all LCP images?
Yeah. For the image LCP, preloading it. Don't do preload for every asset, because when you learn about preload, you want to preload everything, because it's really makes sense. Let's preloading everything, but preloading everything, it's not preloading everything. You don't do. You need the priorities, and if you in everything is priority 1, then there is nothing that you do. But image LCP, I suggest preloading it automatically.
Great. Another question by Dylan Crutchfield. Question: click to load video elements. By doing this for videos over lazy loading, that this comes at cost for being able to appear on featured snippet opportunities for videos? I'm not really familiar if that's something that can cause you an issue with a featured snippet, by the way.
I think this question relates. Let's talk about something similar, and I think it will answer. Lazy loading the images. If we are not loading the bottom images, maybe Google will not see them when the Google bot will come to our site. If this is an issue and you want the images to be on the Google ranking, do an image sitemap. Like there is a sitemap for the pages, you can do a sitemap for the images, and then even if the images are lazy loading, there is no problem. And for your question, just do them for the videos also.
Video sitemap. That's a good idea. What else? What else? What else? I've tried preloading background hero images in WordPress. I use Elementor, but it hasn't seemed to help the CWV. And I'll get warning on the Search Console that the resource isn't being used. Any advice for that?
Okay, so he did the preloading for the background image, and he get a warning on the cloud that the resource isn't being used. It might be that if you are using, for the example, the CDN, maybe the image comes from the CDN and you did a preload for the local image. Because if the console says that the resource isn't being used, most of the time, 99%, I suspect that there is a problem with the preloading line. And you can feel free to email me and show me the line. I will glad to help.
That will be great. Another question by Michael King. What were the plugins that enables and delaying the non-essential below default JavaScript? WP Rocket. You have Flying
Okay,
Script.
Can you show me the question?
Yeah. What were the plugin that enables delaying and non-essential below default JavaScript?
WP Rocket do it. Flying Scripts do it. Swift can do it. Flying Press can do it. All these things can delaying JavaScript. If it's below the fold or not, JavaScript it's not below the fold. It's not rendering in the HTML. The HTML is below the fold and above the fold. The JavaScript is maybe you are not using it, but it's not about below the fold. I will talk about, do you need it initially or you don't? And this is maybe the what you then you can think to delay it or not.
What about Shai? What about manipulation? Like I've seen some web speeds optimizers, like experts that offer their services for $50, and they can optimize your website for like 1 hour and 1 hour of work, and it's there. It's like everything is like super green. Everything is like amazing. Yes. What about manipulation? How do you deal with it, and how do you recognize it?
It's hard, but and it hurts my business, and it's really and the problem is that it's cheating. It's nothing else. People takes money, and the clients want a better score. They trick them and show them a green score. But it's not real. It's not when you check in different ways, then you see it's not something that that you can do. But for example, only last week I will talk about two things. One, there was someone that tricked a lot of people in my country. What she did is by putting a JavaScript inside the page that if you are GT metrics, remove the content and remove the footer. Just leave the header. Okay.
Oh my God.
So what? So GT metrics saw a very small page with very good results. But this is wasn't true. It wasn't the real life. And then when I checked it in a different browser, in GTmetrix we can play it if for example if it's an iPad or Firefox and whatever, everything red. Okay, so when I saw that, then it was very clear that this is a cheating, and we can see. And she didn't do anything on PageSpeed Insight, so it was very easy to see that. But there was another cheater that I caught last week. he did a lot of much better work. He did he disguised something inside this inside some plugin, and the reason I saw that there is something fishy there, because the small image in GTmetrix and in PageSpeed Insight was totally different than the real site. Now, if you go to a PageSpeed optimizer and he show you a GTmetrix or PageSpeed Insight results, and you see the image is not it's not like your site, red alarm, red alert. check again. Maybe
So
there's
yeah, the main thing is, like, if your page is optimized, it's optimized. Just check different web browser, different countries, check everything.
Yeah, but clients doesn't know how to do that. For example,
sure.
I'm not talking about the site builders that maybe they are technical. I'm talking about the store owner that it just wants results, and then someone tell him that he needs better score, the better score, and he paid for someone that says that.
Yeah, it's crazy. So be aware of all these scammers, because website optimization takes a lot of time and work, and if someone doesn't really does it for you, and I don't know, promises
and if he charge 50 or 10 or $100,
just be aware.
It takes time. It takes time to improve all the aspects, the small things. If it's something that you are taking from Fiverr or Upwork with a very minimal cost, I suggest to check again. I checked because it takes time to improve site. There are a lot of small issues, like I said, icons and fonts and images and pixels and JavaScript and CLS and plugins, and there are a lot of things.
For sure.
If someone wants $50 on it, I will be careful.
Just like a plugin, set, go. Let's talk about discrepancies. So there are some people saying that they're getting really great scores on GTmetrix, or let's say green scores on Search Console, but not on Lighthouse, or vice versa. What are the odds for that, and why is it happening, and why should they do it? How they should measure their performance?
First of all, GTmetrix is by default is checking desktop, and like we said, desktop is easy. And you can't compare desktop in GTmetrix with mobile on PageSpeed Insight. Compare the apples to apples. So this is one issue. The other issue, that every tool focus on small things, on other things, that so it can be a little change. It will not be a huge difference. If there is a big difference, then one is desktop versus mobile, and the other thing is maybe something is wrong, maybe something is not really. Maybe there is a cheater around, but the we want to that everything to be green as we can.
Yeah, sure. That's great. Okay, cool. Another question. What is the best properly sized images? Mine are less than 100K and they're still being flagged. I thought anything less than 150K kilobytes was okay. What is the top for that?
Okay, you need to understand something that's important. All the speed test, GTmetrix and PageSpeed Insight and web page test, everything, they are checking all the sites everywhere. All the sites, not even or not only WordPress. It can be WooCommerce stores, and it can be Joomla, and it can be plain HTML, and it can be everything, and it can be a blog, and it can be so. And there is one test for them all. So not all the recommendations are very relevant to every site, or you can do everything with all the recommendations. But if you have a recommendation about an image, yeah, you probably can improve it. You can compress it a little bit better, maybe use a better compression or a file format. For example, don't use PNG file if you don't have transparency. This is something that I show a lot of. I see a lot of times. Don't use PNG with if you don't have transparency. You can use JPEG, but you can also use WebP, AV, some more advanced formats that PageSpeed Insight will alert you if you are not using them. Okay, so this is about so this is about the format or the extensions. About the size, try to reduce the size as much as you can without hurting the appearance, the quality. Or if you are photographer, yeah, you probably will not want to compress the sites fully, like just whatever site that you are doing. So this is it's really up to you. This is one thing, but there is a important issue that about the size. Don't load 1920 pixels on mobile. Load 480, for example. Okay, I'm just I don't really expect you to give all the width for all the screens. Most of the mobiles are around 300, 370. If you do it on the landscape, then 480. I suggest 480 for mobile and whatever you want on desktop, as long as you are not loading 8,000 width of image. And I saw that, really. I saw things like that.
Another question here. Does a web app firewall hurt speed loading? Does web app firewall hurt speed of loading, like loading time?
I don't know. It can hurt, but if there is a firewall, it's usually it's really depend on the firewall. If it's something that all traffic go through them, and it's really it's do something really, I don't know, inside, then it might hurt it. Cloudflare, for example, the traffic goes through Cloudflare, and they have WAP and firewall, and everything is great there. So it's not just like that. For example, I use WordFence, for example, which for security, I don't see any speed issues, for example, about it. Okay, Teraz. I will check more questions because the Raz is frozen. I saw some question about local fonts or Google fonts. I prefer local fonts because there are some issues about Google fonts. Google fonts cause you to do two external domains, and it hurt our speed and score. So I do prefer loading the fonts locally, and because Chrome is doing some privacy changing in the near future, he already did some changes. The Google fonts that we can't really enjoy the Google font that we loaded on one site in a different site because of privacy issues. So basically, it's not really something that that help us a lot, in my opinion, for at least. So I prefer local fonts. Where is Liraz? Liraz is frozen. Yeah, sorry. I'm just. I need to check the questions because she needs to do that. We are all green in search. How to measure performance? You get very different. I think that I will. How to measure performance is by doing GTmetrix, page speed insight, and especially Search Console, because this is the real thing. The page speed, the page speed insight, the GTmetrix are just tests. It's not the real life. Search Console is from Google, so it's really something that I think that we should aim to please him. Let's see, just a second. I want to see what else. What do you do to get? What do you do to get a placeholder? I am anything special. A placeholder is just to put a block with a specific width and height to be loaded inside whatever comes, but this placeholder will be inside the page, and by doing that you put a placeholder, and then and things will not shift, they will not move. So this is something that you can do. Sorry, just a second. I'm sorry that I need to check, because I need to check everything. I do see some questions about my course, so I will show the site. Just a second. You can just go to my. You can just go to my page. Here you can see it. This is shaitoder.com, and in the course there is a lot of things relevant to the course. Like someone asked about the discount. Just enter SEMrush or SEMrush -3. And you will get a discount. If you are struggling with it or something, just let me know, and that's it. Yeah. Okay. I think we will wrap it up right here, because Liraz is missing, and I feel alone. So thank you all for being in the webinar. I hope you will get green results and good and green scores. And if you have any questions, you can reach me and let me know. And that's it. So thank you very much.